to shift our attention towards the opportunities and innovations to transform food waste that are driving meaningful impact on the ground and can serve to inspire further action in this space. It's my pleasure to now invite our moderator for this session, Subhaprada Nishtila. Shubha is the Honorary Vice President of the Association of Food Science Technologists. Thank you, Shubha. I would like to now welcome our panelists for this session. Krishnana Kasturirangan, co-founder and managing director, WasteLink. Vipin Raj, founder, Axo Agro Soldier. Shivali Sugandh, co-founder and chief technology officer, Green Grahi. Ankita Vijayvargya, co-founder and CEO of Billion Carbon. And Himanshu Saxena, vice president of sales at Agnex Technologies. With that, I'd hand it over to Shubha to begin the conversation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and not always happy to be the last panel of the day, but given the amazing panel I have today, I should say I'm delighted. We started off with a high-power discussion today on how food loss and waste can be addressed through a policy perspective. Spent the day with a lot of experts talking both about engineering solutions for reducing loss, preventing loss, reducing waste. And I think it is very appropriate that we are ending today's day recognizing that waste to hona hi hai. We may work towards reducing, optimizing, but what do you do with that waste? And I have an absolutely amazing panel of very energetic innovators who are using science, engineering, entrepreneurship to convert that waste not just to value but climate positive, circular, sustainable solutions. So happy to be here and welcoming all of you. We will be having our conversation structured largely around 3 pillars, if I may. The first round, we'll be talking about spotlighting your innovation and asking you to share 2 or 3 key learnings you've had in that process. The second round, we'll look at what are scaling opportunities or enablers that you would like to have, and finally, what partnerships you have found or you would like to find to make it more sustainable and improve the quality of your solutions. So with that, we'll start off with you, Krishnan, if that's Krishnana? Krishnan works, yeah, thanks. So can you walk us through WasteLink is a very familiar name in the food industry. I have a long background in foods, so WasteLink is a very familiar, and I'm really personally happy to make your acquaintance today. Can you walk us through how you came up with this upcycling solution and your food to, what should I call it, feed maybe? Food to feed upcycling process. The journey and what you find have been your key learnings from it.
Sure. Thank you for the warm welcome and the kind words. Grateful. WasteLink, for those that don't know, is a circular economy company. We focus on pre-consumer food waste, so food waste that is generated throughout the supply chain before it reaches the end consumer. And we derive value out of that food waste by converting it into animal feed ingredients, which eventually are used by feed manufacturers to make feed for cattle, poultry, aqua, and others. We really focused on 2 pieces of innovation to build what we've built. One is we have created an aggregation platform, a tech-enabled platform that goes to like couple of thousand locations each month, collecting pre-consumer food waste and bringing that to processing facilities. So we've invested in a proprietary technology, a software platform that does a whole bunch of things, solving for concerns that our suppliers have, as well as our own aggregation, traceability, and transparency. And the second and equally critical innovation that we did that has really given rise to the business model is we have come up with a way to homogenize all of this food waste across various food categories into a single output product. Pretty much 80-90% of our revenue is from the sale of one product, which is made from aggregating thousands and thousands of SKUs that we collect. So that's really been our contribution, if you may, in this space to build the business. What have we learned? I think, look, one, I think probably a bit obvious, but climate impact doesn't sell, business impact sells. I think that was pretty clear for us from day one. And so we've really built a business that makes a meaningful difference to food companies, right? And of course, they feel good about the climate impact. The second thing I think for us is, we did not shy away from building what I would say is the real world business. I think a lot of people talk about asset light platforms, all of that stuff, but we really felt that to take this problem head on, you have to invest in infrastructure. So we operate our own processing infrastructure. We run a fairly large pan-India aggregation infrastructure. And we feel that it's been quite integral to the business reaching whatever scale it is reached. I mean, we still have a long way to go, but I think, there's even a scale to speak of, I would say, because of some of the decisions we have taken around how we build up the business.
Thank you, Krishnan. And I certainly, having been on the other side, appreciate the transparency and the accountability there is of every gram that goes to WasteLink. So thank you for sharing that. If I can come to you, Himanshu, next, from your experience on the Agnes solutions, very futuristic, if I may so call it. Can you explain the science behind it and your learnings in deploying it across the scale that you have?
Yeah, sure. So wanting to clarify, being a sales guy, so I don't care so much on the tech. So basically whatever is giving, my job is to sell it.
I'll tell you something, Himanshu. In flavors, in technology, it's always the salesperson who understands the science better than the scientist, because you have to explain it a million times to sell your product. So I will not believe what you said.
No, actually, it's not about understanding the science. It's more about understanding the need of the market. And that is what drives the tech behind. So again, I think at Agnex, this is what drives us, because one thing I have seen in recent years with a lot of startups coming in, tech companies coming in, we build a product based on our understanding that this is how should be the ideal situation, this is what will work in the market. So as Krishnan said, it's not the climate matrix that way, it's a business that works. So again, it's more about understanding the need of the market. And then coming back to food waste, it's see, any wastage is not conscious. So in all probabilities, all wastage is unconscious. And that is the first thing to understand for us, that why that wastage is happening. And this is what we saw is even in the best ecosystems, that wastage was happening. So that was the opportunity, because being an agri-tech company, we have worked on multiple hardware stacks in the past 10 years. So this is something new for us, but then we ventured into that with some of our existing clients in the space, especially targeting large kitchens. So there's a lot of waste. So a lot of food, in the preparation, there is waste. Then lot of food which is prepared is actually does not ever reach the table. And then again, what reaches the plate is also wasted. So on an average, the statistic says that about 150 to 200 grams per meal is a wastage. And then if you, of course, there's the climate impact, but then just by the business sense, somebody serving a lakh of meals every day and then wasting that 200 grams, it translates to a lot of money. So that was the motivation for us to kind of help our customers develop something which can help them understand and measure, first of all. Because once they're able to measure what is being wasted, then only they can actually work around in customizing their menus, customizing their operations, and then actually reducing that waste. So that was the point from our side. And then being a hardware and a tech company, we were able to kind of come up with this thing, because it's not rocket science that we have developed, but then this is something which is the need of the market. It's a simple innovation, and then kind of again integrating it with the tech and the systems at the customers, so that helps them kind of extract the useful information and then use it to reduce the waste.
And two key learnings that you would have, of course, you address the market needs, but in deploying the food waste tool that you have, any learnings that stand out
Yeah.
for you?
Of course. So one learning, as I said, what I started with is like even in the best ecosystems, like it's not easy to reduce these wastages. So these are happening unconsciously, subconsciously. So that is one learning, that you have to go to the root cause of the problems and then work at the grassroots level and then study the market, that why that wastage is happening. So that helps kind of evolve as a company and as a service provider. Second was like that again, that's more on the business side again, being the sales side, that again, like all these innovations, one thing is making it, second is the challenge in kind of making it adapted in the market, because India, especially being a very cost sensitive market in anything, so any technology you go back and take it to the market, it's not so easy to kind of implement, because businesses also run in wafer thin margins, and then to accommodate new technology in that is a challenge. So that was one learning, how to kind of create a balance amongst both these things to kind of create space for the technology innovation.
Great, thank you, Himanshu. Vipin, coming to you, your BSF, your Black Soldier Fly Larvae based model, it's both functional and it's fast. I think that's your USP. So, what are your insights in terms of any learnings that you had, or if you can actually start with explaining your technology first and then move on to two learnings that you had in your journey of deploying these?
Okay, thank you. Actually, we started this black soldier fly rearing process around 2.5 years back. And why we started it, when we checking at something, we need to take value addition on the waste. So checking lot of solutions, but we couldn't see any solution which is giving this much potential in a shorter period. For example, this larvae is growing, the life cycle is of this larvae is only 14 days. And within these 14 days, from 0 to 6,000 to 10,000 times of their body mass is increasing, having this food waste. And also the another advantage of this larvae is like they are eating around twice of their body mass. For example, 1 gram of larvae is eating 2 gram of food waste daily. So these are the lot of key points which we chosen this larvae to handle this entire waste. So within 14 days, we are not getting a fertilizer or some other way. We are getting a feed as well from which has a good potential of 35% of protein and around 36.5% of fat in it. So these are the key elements which we choose in this larvae to use food waste management. And right now we are handling around 8 to 10 ton of organic waste per day in a centralized waste management perspective. So we mainly our clients are from food process units like hotels, restaurants, and catering teams. We start from collecting the waste and we do this upgrade in our process in our factories. So that's what is the model which we have. And two learnings is like if we normally if we don't do it, like an authorized company is not doing the things, then it definitely goes like earlier sessions we discussed about the piggery and some unauthorized teams. What they do, they collect the waste and they take the collection fees from the waste generators and they do the sea dumping or the land dumping. Normally that was the practice happening in Kerala, and right now government also start recognizing and properly maintaining companies like us, and they are giving a certification for us. So we are authorized company right now to handle organic waste from Kerala, anywhere in Kerala state.
That's amazing. It's good to have that recognition from the government. Certainly makes going to market easier. Shivali, coming to you, you also use the black soldier fly larvae. But first, if you could start with the meaning of green gari, I've been trying to read up and I got very interesting explanations for the word grahi. But if you could start with that and then move on to discuss, building on what Bipin said, between feed and fertilizer, which did you find more challenging and any learnings you have?
So thank you for having me on the panel today. It's, I think, a privilege for me to sit with all the people who are present here and doing great work in this sector. I've spent 10 years in sustainability and recycling sector and seen very challenging situations where you give solutions, but either solutions are not implemented or regulatory support is not there. And often you see things, for example, in recycling, I have seen more downcycling than upcycling. I'm very proud of companies like WasteLink and many of us who are sitting here because we are now talking about upcycling, which was probably 5 years ago missing in the industry. And now it's a great opportunity, I think, for India, which is a huge food grain-based company. So just talking about the company, Green Grahi. So Green Grahi actually came because we wanted to do something green, which means climate friendly, and Grahi means beneficiary. So we wanted to have all our beneficiary benefit from the climate initiatives or climate positive initiatives. So our principle of the company is that we'll never go into anything that our business requires, which is anti-climate. So this will always remain in the ethics of the company. Talking about what we do, so we are basically an insect biotechnology company. We use insect-based ingredients to derive animal nutrition solutions and plant nutrition solutions. When I say animal nutrition solutions, we provide ingredients like insect fat, insect protein, and even supplements coming out of other bioactive ingredients of insects for pet food companies, aquafeed companies, and poultry companies. And on the plant side, we are basically catering to the agricultural companies, and we are giving them biostimulants, biofertilizers, and biopesticides, again developed from the insect-derived ingredients. So we are catering to these companies. We are very proud to share that we are currently the only company in India which has raised a 32 crore round in the last 2 to 3 months. Finished it. I mean, things keep happening for years, but yeah, the news is out in the last 3 months. And we are able to today commercially produce insect-based ingredients in India at the scale which we are doing. We are doing this in Roorkee, Uttarakhand, so very happy to welcome any of you who wish to visit us and see what we are doing. And if I talk about the 2 learnings that we have, I would say the first important learning is building scalable technologies. So our technology was not only limited to lab, which I have often seen startups dying because the things work on the lab scale, but when they come to scale and the practical field, they often fail. So what we have built is for the scale. I would always encourage everyone to be more practical than to just be scientific. It has to be a practically working business model. The second learning which I would focus on is partnerships. I think when you're working in a new sector like insects, nobody ever ate insects in India. But now we are talking about giving insects as an alternative in the entire animal feed and plant industry. So when we talk about things like this, which are completely new for the audience to accept, we have to find out people who are like-minded, who can take these initiatives ahead. So for us, research partnerships, commercial partnerships, incubators, accelerators, government institutes, even foreign institutes have been a key player who have helped us work in areas where we were not experts. So these are my 2 bits.
Thank you, Shivali. I think very nicely summarized your journey in simple words. I was speaking to Shobha, she is around, and it's interesting you brought that up about the sheer opportunity we have. We tend to get bogged down that India is so large and so complex, but that's what creates the opportunity. So it was nice to see you lead with that. You're talking about insects as animal food, but the FAO report that came out, I think 2 months ago, looks at insect food being, in the next 0 to 5 years, a leading source of protein for humans as well. So, yeah. Ankita, another very, very interesting name, Billion Carbon. If you could explain what you do, your microclimate-based bioreactors, and your learnings in your journey in deploying these.
Hello. Hi. So yeah, firstly, thank you. Like Himanshu said, I think all of us as founders are salespeople for our own technologies, right? I think just talking about us a little, we set out to solve the problem of food waste and soil degradation, the dual problem using science and engineering. And after extensive R&D, our innovation now is a 3-day precision food waste treatment technology that is able, 3-day, yes, that is able to achieve 95% biomass reduction in 3 days or less. Now, what happens is the nutrients from the food waste get concentrated into micronutrient-rich biofertilizers, right? Also, this entire process happens inside our microclimate-controlled bioreactors, which essentially supercharges a natural process. So this entire process we have designed and engineered to be fully circular. It is completely aerobic. It uses no electricity, no odor in the process, produces no diseases as a result, and lowest cost in the industry right now. And it is powered by micro and macroorganisms, a consortium of that, right? So that's, in a nutshell, short about what we do. Now, 2 learnings. When we started about 2 years ago, we were doing a lot of pilots with different kinds of customer segments to figure out where is the need, which we can actually, where can we actually find the product market fit for the technology innovation that we have created. And what we found was that in the food waste treatment industry, there is currently no viable solution that exists because the current solutions are slow and ineffective. They take large land areas, produce diseases, etc., right? Hence, 2 things become paramount. One is speed, and the other is biomass reduction of the food waste. Because food waste is very different than any other kind of dry waste or any other kind of waste in the sense that if it is left untreated for 1 day, it'll start rotting. And that doesn't help the person who is, or the organization who is actually producing the waste. Hence, these are the 2 things we worked on optimizing throughout our pilots. One was speed, and we were able to create the entire process to bring it down to 3 days. In fact, it is 3 days or less. In most cases, we are able to treat the food waste within 1 day. And this is without any electricity usage. The second was biomass reduction. Why? Because most of these solutions, let's say composting or OWC machines, they are able to reduce the biomass only by 40 to 60%, which means that if you're putting in 1 ton of waste, you will still be left with half a ton of waste to handle. I call it waste because it is essentially sludge, usually not managed well. It needs large land areas where you will need to dry it, and then flies will come over there, etc., right? So it's an added cost, added management that needs to be done. With our case, if you put in 100 kgs of waste, only 5% is left, which is essentially a very nutrient-dense biofertilizer. Hence, it is much easier to handle and much easier to transport as well. So I think these were our 2 learnings majorly. Yeah.
Thank you, Ankita. Quite magical, I should say, getting it in 3 days to down to 5%. Himanshu, with AgNext, you've had other solutions as well, and now this solution on food waste. So moving on to our second pillar of scale up, what do you see as some of the enabling conditions that can help you build this or roll this out better, whether in policy or infrastructure or financial models? What are some of the enablers that you see will help or are most critical in scaling up the food waste diagnostics? And what does your short-term roadmap going ahead look like?
Right. So I think the 2 most important enablers always would be for any business to scale. One would be the policy and the regulations from the government side, because without that, again, the acceptance is very difficult, because we can see, especially like since Agnex is a agri-food company, and then before that I worked in this agri-food value chains. So this is like, although we are catering to human and animal nutrition, but still like the regulations are sometimes even worse than many of the other industries which do not impact like the human health. So I think definitely those regulations, like
Any
as they,
specific examples that you would like to discuss, which you
I
see
mean,
changing
currently,
can
I
impact?
think as far as food waste is concerned, there's no regulations at all. Even like you talk of the food products, like there are regulations, but then how many of the food producers, like every label has a nutritional information, but then how many of those samples are actually tested? So the infrastructure, testing infrastructure, like the more kind of the samplings in terms of like the samples, and then like again like lot of standards are lacking in general. So food waste as such, I don't think like if I'm, until I'm misinformed, I don't see like any regulation as such in place. So I think it's something like that needs to start basically. So there has to be accountability on, like at least on the big businesses to start with, to kind of monitor how much of waste they are generating, and then how they are kind of disposing that. So I think that is the first step towards this, and if that happens, definitely it helps like people like us to kind of scale up with our solutions, because as of now we target businesses that are willingly kind of trying to adapt these technologies to basically bring their or maintain their brand value, or kind of take some kind of a premium in the market through adoption of these technologies. But I think moving forward, for the larger goal, it's important that there are government kind of interventions in that. And also on like the private side, I would say like the adaptation in India is again driven by regulations. So I think that mindset also has to change. So even if something is not mandated by the government, or if it is not directly increasing the profitability from the like just the ethical part also, I think there has to be adoption of new technologies, because that is one, because any technology you bring, majority of the times it's kind of rated on the size. So like if you bring a technology, you quote a price, so this much for this much. So it's like that is basically how the mindset is driven. So I think that needs to change, both from the government side as well as from the industry side. So that will definitely help on the scale up. And then on the short term plan, so in the short term we are primarily doing a lot of POCs, and we have few deployments also. So the first target base that we are targeting for this is like large kitchens. So all the corporate caterings, like air catering clients, so who are kind of serving in the range of 1 lakh to 2 lakh meals per day. So because on an average, I think 150 grams to 200 grams is the wastage per meal. So if you translate that to like a lakh of meals per day, so that translates to a lot of money and a lot of like impact on the sustainability of that. So that is our short-term plan, to first establish with these clients and then move forward.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you show your platform on a big screen projected on the wall so that they don't say this much for this much?
So that can be shown like once we are provided with a huge wall. So we have tried to make the screen as big as possible.
Yeah.
So but then again, it's not only the hardware, it's basically all the analytics integrated. And
Of
then
course.
of course, like, see, it's not a generic statement for every business, but in general, like, people weigh in everything with the returns they have. And then of course the regulations are a major driver in adoption.
Very small ask, Bipin. You want the regulator and you want change in mindset. Very small ask from enablers. Right, Himanshu, sorry. Bipin, over to you.
Thank you.
Taking off on Himanshu's, ask that there should be a regulatory mandate. जब तक डंडा नहीं है, तब तक adoption नहीं है. You come from a state of Kerala and your work has been there. You spoke earlier about how recognition by the state has helped. But as you grow beyond Kerala, what are your thoughts on what Himanshu shared in terms of policy regulation and also establishment behavior or industry behavior in terms of adopting change or adopting new technology?
Uh, Policy change in terms of like, see, we take a long time to change one policy or one compliance perspective. Like if there is some rules, then it will take years to change. But the technology or the human behavior is changing very rapidly. But based on that, the compliance perspective, it is not changing. But as I mentioned, like in Kerala, especially like the Swachh Bharat in Kerala version, which is Sujito mission, they taken up this issue, and they have seen many unauthorized waste management systems were running over there, especially it is in seashore. So they dumping this all waste into seashore, mostly around a huge amount of waste daily going to. There are a team which is collecting from the seashore to dump into the sea actually. So this was a big issue created over there, and they worked on it, and they created a regulation including with PCB, Pollution Control Board. So these two came up with some kind of regulation in that waste management perspective. So they call all these waste management companies who is running over in Kerala, and they came and validated our systems and the factories, how we proceeded, and based on that, they have chosen a couple of waste management teams, and they given this authority to that. Top of that, we have to give certificate every year to the waste generators in order to renew their license, government license. So this is one compulsory change they made it in every hotels, restaurant, all over the waste generators who were creating it. So that is one mandatory thing they came up and they are establishing it now. But still, there are some issues happening. But I hope this kind of changes is required for everywhere. I hope in everywhere in India as well, because this Sujita mission is part of Swachh Bharat. It must be there in everywhere, I believe. So that help us also to give us business from the reputed companies like Lulu and some big companies. They have given us because they cannot give throw away the waste with anybody else also. So that help us in order to grow from our perspective as well. So these are the complaints perspective I have seen in changes in Kerala especially.
Are you looking at entering any other states and any groundwork there in terms of what policies?
Yes, we not only in other states we have tried in Tamil Nadu, and there are some discussions are going on. Definitely we will be interested into moving to other states as well. Apart from that, we have a tie-up with one of the company in UAE, and we will be growing there as well. Within 6 months, our operations will start there. So definitely, if there is any opportunity, we will be there in anywhere in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Vipin, for that. Krishnan, coming back to WasteLink, for you, your supply chain is also fragmented. You don't know from month to month what type of collections you will have. And feed is becoming increasingly more regulated. There are a lot of discussions in terms of what kind of standards should come in, etc. So what is your outlook in terms of the next couple of years? How do you address both the regulations that come and the supply chain concerns?
We are in the fortunate or unfortunate position of being governed by two different regulatory bodies, both on the food side and on the feed side. Look, but in most cases, we're quite aligned with what the regulator is trying to do. Is, let's say, on the food side, the regulator is really trying to ensure that food that is unfit for human consumption in no way enters the human consumption chain. And India is that is quite prevalent, believe it or not, right? So I think So for doing that, I think they're kind of trying to work out the guidelines that can be enforced across India. So I think, while largely it is in line with what we would expect, I think there's generally some concerns in terms of how they classify various kinds of food waste and what needs to happen to it and so on. But we've been working with them. But in general, I would say the food regulation is a tailwind for us. It actually helps us scale. It helps us. It brings more volumes from some of the unorganized sectors into into our supply chain. In fact, on the feed side, it's been quite interesting. I think we have had there are a lot of government agencies and bodies that inform regulation, like National Dairy Development Board and others. They have really taken a liking to bringing in alternative ingredients, alternative sources into the livestock feeding system. So we have actually collaborated quite a bit with them. A lot of very good positive results. So we do believe that, I think, it's still early days there. I think I would say, I wouldn't expect regulation for another 3 or 5 years. But as and when it comes, I think it'll be well informed by all this research that some of these bodies are conducting. And I think at least for me so far, I think I have a very positive view on this. I think it's generally been a very constructive engagement with the regulator on various topics. Yeah.
Good to know that the regulator is having a conversation and taking the inputs of the generators, so to say, of the industry. Thanks, Krishnan. Shivali, as you are scaling up to Tier 2 cities and metros, what is your most urgent ask, whether from a policy perspective or any other enabler that you look at? And are you pursuing any specific partnerships to support this?
Thank you. Please allow me to share my 2 bits on the regulatory aspect. It's very linked to my personal journey. When I was working in the sector, in the initial days, as a waste management consultant, my role is to stand on landfills and audit what's happening there, what's coming, what's going out, and how we have to remove this or recycle it. And every time I stood on the landfill, I was like, what is bubbling here is actually organic waste. It's not plastics, it's not any metals or any inerts, it's actually organic waste. And if you go and look at your legislations, there is nothing about organic waste that they would say. So if I talk about 10 years ago, there was not even a discussion on what has to happen with this. Nobody knew, just get rid of it. That was the simple mantra. And even today, there is a line of, I would say, regulations coming, but under those, there's still the not so good practices happening. That is why I said initially, it's sitting on a panel like this, it makes me feel very proud. On the regulatory aspect, so in the search of answer, I went to Germany. Please do let me know if I pass out the time. I will definitely cover the points I've been asked for. So when I went to Germany, and my only aim was to understand why Germany is able to do it and India is not able to do it. Are they more educated? It's okay. We are also getting educated. Our literacy levels are rising. We will do that. But the issue I saw was, in terms of regulations, Germany in 1970s had 2 regulations, very simple regulation. One said, pay per user fee. You have to pay a fee. It's a civic service which is being offered to you, and your waste is getting cleaned away. You have to segregate and pay a fees. Very simple, 1970s. So when people think about their daily expenses, waste management is a fee right from starting. It's a part of their budgeting exercise. So it's in the mindset. It's not something which has to get rid of. The second thing that they had was, whatever goes to the landfill cannot be organically active. It has to be inert, which means anything which will reach the landfill has to go through a treatment process first before it reaches the landfill. So they reduced their landfilling rate. When I studied why, so when they said they reduced their landfilling rate by 90%, and I was amazed, where is all this waste going? So the organics are not going to landfill at all. Whatever is recycled is recycling, and in the end, whatever is left, which is generally inert, is only going to the landfill. So the landfills are not filling up like ours. Every city has 2 or 3 landfills which are just showcasing, how much waste we produce in the city. But at the same time, the problem is getting solved without pushing any private or any different party. So I guess in our country too, we need a regulation for sure saying what will reach a landfill so that it backtracks and encourages everybody to do their bit, which is not currently the case. Everything is allowed in the landfill, even if it is paid or in some form or the other. The question you asked me, I'll just come to that. So, sorry, this was about? Right. Right. So insect farming is a very opportunistic sector in India, considering, like I said, the market that we are catering to. It's a $16 billion market that we are sitting on in terms of alternative proteins, fats, and fertilizers. Our ask would be, for a sector like this, if we see ancillary sectors like poultry, or if we see silkworm farming, if we see honeybee, all these sectors are in a way subsidized or supported by government because they generate huge amount of volume, employment, as well as they cater to the basic needs of the country, which is generating alternatives of food. And we are in the same sector. So we definitely expect the government to recognize this sector and support it through probably, cheaper rate of interests, capital which is subsidized, or other subsidies which are available to other sectors like mushroom farming. So we definitely expect things like this from the government side. On the other side, I'll also talk about the regulations which are there on the insect protein per se. So currently there are no regulations for insect protein. There are regulations for feed, which you have to cater to. And as an insect protein company or insect biotechnology company, we are ensuring the regulations we follow are the regulations which are developed in Europe and US, because they have already developed those regulations, and we know if we have to work today here and probably look at the global market sitting in India, we have to meet those regulations. But in India, there are no regulations like that. So we are also trying to work with policymakers and regulators and see how these regulations can be developed in India. So, there is a clear definition of what, when you are growing insects, it's going to food. This is the protocol. This is the standard quality you have to grow. If it's an insect which is going for waste management, this is the standard protocol that you have to follow. So we do expect contribution or support from the policymakers on that side, and we are happy to support in any way possible. We have a lot of data that we generate on daily basis, and happy to share with anybody who wants to take this up.
Very informative, Shivali. Thank you for that. And certainly not, I wouldn't expect that it's too far before we see this kind of support coming in for insect farming. Ankita, from you, what kind of urban institutions are you targeting as scale partners, whether FPOs, food processors? And what specific policy changes or incentives do you see will help you unlock faster adoption?
So our major targets are bulk waste generators. Unlike everybody here, we work in a decentralized manner, not a centralized manner, right? So our USP is that we are able to treat the food waste where it is, rather than having to transport it all the way to a centralized facility. And we have optimized our operations for that. Now, having said that, coming to the policy and regulations part, I strongly believe that policy and innovation goes hand in hand. It's a chicken and egg problem, right? All of us sitting here are innovators. But we wouldn't be here if Swachh Bharat mission had not taken roots 10 to 15 years ago. Only after that, Startup India started taking root. And then that's when innovators started bubbling up. That's where even we got the courage to leave our corporate jobs, high-paying jobs, and actually jump into let's solve a problem for India, right? So I wouldn't say there are no policies. I think what is needed is the speed of implementation. I'll give you an example. The SWM 2024 rules are, SWM Solid Waste Management 2024 rules are the second draft coming after 2016, which is 8 years after that. Still they've not come into effect. And I think all of us in the food waste innovation space are eagerly waiting for them to come from the draft stage to the implementation stage, because that then gives the push to our customer segment to reach out for solutions rather than we having to make the hard sell. So I think that's the main thing. And in terms of what how we are seeing this pan out is that we are currently operational in 4 cities. This is our 3rd year of operations. We are looking to expand to 25 or more cities across India, across Middle East and Europe. We are seeing different challenges across these 3 countries. And we are also seeing different kinds of regulations, right? There is a lot to learn from these 2 countries, these 2 regions. However, of course, the challenges in India are very, very unique to India. And I think we are on the right path when it comes to policy. The only ask would be the speed of implementation, right? Yeah.
And have you been part of the commenting back on the policy, and what inclusions do you see, either of you or even you, Krishnan, in the solid waste management?
I'm sure all of us
project?
have done that at some point of time. I think one thing I can add more is so Swachh Bharat Mission as the central body and having the regional offices, they're doing a pretty good job. However, of course, their hands are crippled in many states. So they operate in very different ways in different states. Their powers are very different in different states. Now, in some states, they are able to encourage startups. In some states, they just don't, right? So startups bring the innovation. We are just 4 or 5 here. There are many more working out there on food waste, right? Unless that happens, unless startups and innovations are pushed as, let's say, an empaneled vendor, if I use the terminology, without that, the standard solutions are still going to be prevalent, and the government will be spending tons and tons of crores of rupees implementing ineffective solutions. So if SBM gives that push to innovators, I think that would also go a long way.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you for that. Very valuable inputs from all of you. Moving to our 3rd pillar on collaborations. I don't know how much time we have. We're okay on time? So moving on to the 3rd pillar, and again, Himanshu, starting off with you. What collaborations are you looking at to help build your solution, to scale up your solution?
Yeah, so again, like specifically talking of this particular solution, so I think for this it's more on the private partnerships that we are looking for. But yes, in general, for the whole technology stack that we have, so we are looking for collaborations, and I think more than collaborations, we are looking for environments which help validate and certify these technologies. So because once there is, and that is where again it's kind of add up to the policy point, because that ecosystem of incubators of research, academia and industry partnerships, because sometimes what I've felt is research and industry needs are pretty different. So research takes its own ways, and then sometimes it does not cater to the need of the industries. So there's a need for that collaborative research and then validation of all these technologies, so that the ones which actually will work in the market, they get a boost and they get some kind of a stamping from the government in terms of certification or empanelment, as Ankita mentioned. So that is what helps those businesses to then scale. So that is one very important aspect. Second is the open collaborative environment, wherein out of 5 of us, 4 are working in handling the waste. We are measuring the waste. So I think it's a natural collaboration with any of us to kind of go together and then solve a more holistic problem for the client. So I think these are some of the areas wherein both and at the government and the academia side, as well as within B2B space, more collaborations would help.
That's interesting. So you provide a one-stop solution to your customers.
Of course, because I help them, and that has been the ask from many of the customers, and we were discussing in the morning on the same lines. So because when we say that we are able to measure your waste, so they also then want that, okay, that's very good, but now
इसका
if you
करे
can
क्या?
help me like kind of settle it also. So that's a natural collaboration.
Krishan, coming to you, what are your cross-sectoral partnerships? What does that outlook and how
Yeah.
much has it impacted Wasteling in its growth?
So, like I was alluding to earlier, for us, we had to do a lot of work on the animal feed side, given that we convert pre-consumer food waste into feed ingredients. A fair amount of work was needed to be done to drive adoption. Ultimately, it's converted to feed by feed manufacturers and then eventually used by livestock farmers. The entire chain is highly skeptical. I think what we do is new to India, but not new to the world. Much like what you observed as well. But so which means you kind of have to, do the groundwork, educate, a lot of education, patience, and wait for that market to slowly, build up. And we have seen that happen, I think, and even with some large companies, it was for us a years-long effort. So today, a lot of the major feed companies in India are either working with us or want to work with us. So I think we're fortunate to reach there. But it has taken both efforts with them, their scientists, their R&D teams, as well as the other bodies, like I told you, National Dairy Development Board, government, veterinary colleges, professors. I think we have engaged a large body of people to build consensus, to build alignment, and build support for a product like ours. So yeah, I think for startups it is a multi-year effort to get there. But I think something that has to be done. I think ultimately your customers need that confidence, and that it is okay to use. So that's probably been the largest area for us in terms of collaborations. Most otherwise on the supply side, it's largely with businesses, so it's pretty straightforward what we do, and we again build them a fairly integrated offering as it pertains to all of their waste and food waste.
And did you also have to do a similar journey with the packaging material? Because for you pick up with packaging.
Yeah, so we do. We collect food waste, and food in general, in this day and age comes in packaging. Again, look, we are very clear in the sense, we're a fairly focused company. We said we're going to solve for one problem and solve it well, which means, we solve for food waste, and I believe, we're trying to do a good job of solving for food waste. So the entire packaging realm, we don't do anything in-house. We work with partners and others who are operating in this space. So we do work with licensed recyclers, be it on paper, plastic, various grades of plastic, of course, at different companies now. So we work with a wide variety of partners who are licensed and offer the same level of traceability that we want to offer our suppliers. So yeah, and that's how we are able to offer that integrated solution to our food supplier partners. But our focus is very clear in-house that we will do only organic, at least for now. I think who knows way in the future what it is, but I think we are clearly, at least for the next few years, clearly only on organic, and work with the ecosystem on some of the other inorganic waste.
Shivali, coming to you, how do you ensure the compliance or the consistency of your either nutrition for animal or plant, as you put it? How do you ensure consistency and compliance?
So, as I shared earlier, there are no regulations for us in India yet. But the kind of industries we are catering to, the regulations are increasing, and it has to be a standard quality which the industry demands. So we are following the EU standards and the US standards for our feed as well. This is the reason Green Grahi is not treating waste. We are treating byproducts from industries which are homogeneous, contamination free, and then they are again decontaminated at our plant and converted into animal and plant nutrition products. So we are very proud to say that we are not a waste management company, we are an animal nutrition company. It's not possible to take waste and give animal nutrition products which are compliant as per standards out. What you give in is what you give out. Now, what we are doing is we design our feedstocks. So first is acceptance of what we accept. So it's a clear guideline on what we will accept from the industry. And in terms of partnerships also, we are very open to commercially partner with anybody who is generating a homogeneous wet stream even, because I think our biggest USP is that we can work with wet waste. And that is one of the biggest problem. It's easy to bring dry waste, store it, and then process it over days. But wet waste is stinky, and everybody wants to get rid of it as soon as possible, especially the food industry because of the compliances on food standards and processing standards, hygiene. That is why we are very good in working on homogeneous wet waste streams. We can partner with anybody. We can lease out our technology to work on scale with them at their site. So happy to do that. On the compliance side, like you said, one is raw material that we bring is contamination free. Then is processing. The entire processing line is designed in a way that the feed for insects is optimized in terms of nutrition as well as pathogenicity. So we have proteins, fats, carbohydrates, everything balanced through these waste streams which come, and then it is designed for insects. We don't expect very high quality insects to grow if it's not a well-designed diet for us. So we have spent years do that optimization. The second thing is when we grow them in our patented technologies which are completely climate controlled. So we don't expect any sort of hygiene issues to even arrive when the processing is going on, because you're dealing with insects. There could be any sort of decay, fungi, things like this which can crop up if the process is not temperature controlled, humidity controlled, climate controlled. So we have controlled that process, and in the end when it comes to generating a product, we are very proud to say we are the only company, and we are competing with global partners because we can give a protein content of 58% in our insect protein, whereas globally people have only been able to reach up to 55%. And all this has happened with us through partnership with research institutes and scientific institutes, because until they give you a stamp that you can do this, nobody will trust it. So the collaborations have also played a very key role here. And on the commercial side, I would also like to say that we are very open to provide these now solutions in terms of animal feed supplements and plant products to our commercial partners, for example, fertilizer companies, animal feed companies, to go and try and test it and see how it can be already beating your conventional sources. Why I'm saying this is because we have already reports which says if you use insect oil, our fortified insect oil, and you grow your poultry, the number of eggs will increase by 20%. We can show that on research papers now. We have research data which says if you give our insect supplements to your shrimp, you will see an FCR improvement of 8%. And that data is supported. So very open for any commercial partnerships who wish to try and test our products and also take it forward. So, and we are able to do it because we are complying to those international standards. So if there are no standards in India, that is okay. They will come. We are very hopeful, very positive, but we have to ensure that we meet industry demand as per the standards required by the market.
Thank you, Shivali, for that. Vipin, moving over to you, how do you validate the consistency of your product, whether from a safety or a nutritional consistency perspective? And has the Kerala government certification included some of these aspects when they started recognizing licensed waste managers, so to say?
Yes, of course. We done our product tested by Kerala Government Agriculture Research Centers, and even the last sessions we were displaying that as well. So the feed perspective, it is not about it is about the quantity of protein, fat, and what are the minerals contents. It is included in that particular insects as a protein, as a feed. So that has been done, the testing, and that presented to the bodies as well, that compliance requirements as. Also, we done same research institutions testing report for the fertilizer, which is the insect excrete, which is utilizing for the insect. We directly not using as a fertilizer. We have another microbial consortium which is used for upscaling this excrete as a fertilizer. So we don't directly utilize this excrete as a fertilizer. We again using that enzyme, biological bacterial consortium in order to convert this into the perfect fertilizer. And we do the test with NIST as well, NIST, which is given this microbial consortium as a waste upscaling process. So we use this as the secondary process for the as a fertilizer perspective. So this is the things we do, and these are the testing reports which we have. Normally we produce this to the entities like bigger nurseries and bigger fertilizer usaging companies. We normally give this because we have to prove them this is the biologically created and this is fully organic fertilizer. So this is the method we utilize. We do government entities testing and with that certification only we can go with this, we can have this compliance as well.
So you're saying from NIST you are getting
From
the
NIST as well as
certificates?
Kerala Agriculture Research Institution is
KU.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
These are the
coming
two
from these
institutions
two,
are certifying this fertilizer and feed.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Bipin. Ankita, final to you before we open up for the audience questions. You, as you said, are a localized solution. How have you addressed quality assurance? Because for them, the processes are in their control. For you, it is dependent on somebody else following the SOP, so to say. How have you addressed quality assurance in the systems that you are deploying?
Right. So we are not dependent on the bulk waste generators. That's one. The entire technical operations are run by us on their site. It's like that. The operations are like that. They do help us with some on-ground labor, etc. But our technical supervisor is the person in charge to make sure all the entire process is followed, all bioreactors are healthy, up and running at all times. And of course, the cleanliness, etc. of the site is maintained at all times. And what we have actually seen as a result of that process engineered is zero downtime over the last 2 years. And that is actually unheard of, because if you see other alternatives like OWC machines or biogas plants, once they break down, and which happens more frequently than you would imagine, it takes days, if not months, to get them fixed. And during that time, the tons of food waste that is coming in every day either rots there or it is sent to the landfill, right? So that's one. The other part is our biofertilizers that are produced. That is one place for quality assurance where we didn't have to innovate so far too much, because there are set processes which we are using in terms of getting the batch tests done at laboratories for every batch of biofertilizers that is produced. And it's a host of tests that we do for every biofertilizer. They're not yet commercialized. They're currently in R&D and field trials, and we are incubated with agricultural universities for doing that. However, we are now innovating on that. We are now bringing the tests to our site so that we are able to reduce the time from 1 week to less than a day. And that will then increase the cycle and throughput of our quality assurance procedures as well. So yeah, all in all, that's what we are doing. I guess I'm ending the panel, so I do want to end with a story, if you allow me to, because I said cleanliness on the site, so that just reminded me of this. So we all know that the condition of waste workers, especially food waste workers around the world, is abysmal, especially in India. But here's a testimonial from one of the waste workers on our site. Earlier, I used to have 3 to 4 sick days per month. Now it is 0. It doesn't feel like working on a waste treatment site. And I think this is huge for us because 3 to 4 sick days per month translates to pay days for them, right? And now we are preparing to do this at scale. So that is really how we have defined our success. Success to us is not just growing our revenue or growing clients or expanding to new cities, although we are doing that because that's how we increase the impact. Success to us is really reversing climate change. Success to us is seeing that people like our, the waste worker, his name is Mahinder, who gave that testimonial. People like Mahinder are bringing their family, his wife and his son, to work in the same dignified job where he's treating his food waste scientifically. And that, I think, was really impactful for us. And so I do want to highlight the impact we've had so far. We have scientifically treated 4 million kgs of food waste and mitigated 2 million kgs of carbon dioxide equivalent in the process. Our dream is to mitigate 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent and create 100,000 jobs by 2030. And we're just getting started. Yeah.
More power to you. We'll close with that. I just want to say thank you. It's been an immense learning for me personally. The sheer insights, the passion, your commitment to making the planet a better place. May your tribe increase, and whatever connections I can bring through within the food industry, I'm happy to do that and showcase all your technologies to my connects. But been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, and thank you to a very, very patient audience sitting through right till well beyond that time. Thank you. They would like to have a group photo, so if we can all step up, please.